This is the brand new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. So, let's talk about the cameras. So I was lucky enough to be invited to try out the brand new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra along with some of the other phones. I did spend my time with the Ultra because, of course, this is kind of the most interesting phone from a camera perspective. So whilst I was very lucky to test out the phone, I wasn't actually able to send myself any of these images, if that makes sense. I was able to test it out, have a look, and I would do my best to kind of show you where my thoughts were at with taking shots and zooming in, that type of thing, but I wasn't able to actually download any of these files just yet. There are a few really notable changes, but I have to admit most of them do not come when we're talking about the camera hardware. They tend to be software changes. First off, let's just briefly talk about the design and the build. It's actually a really pretty phone. It felt very nice in the hand. I tend to use my Samsungs with a case on. Without a case, it's very clear that this is an absolute fingerprint magnet, as you can see in some of these shots. The kind of squared off design but slightly rounded edges definitely kind of felt really nice to use. This is going to be one of the bigger changes when we're talking about the actual aesthetics of the phone, and they definitely did deliver here. So in terms of camera hardware changes, there is only one significant change, and that's an increase in the sensor size on the ultra-wide lens. So you now have a 50 megapixel shooter across the ultra-wide, the main rear-facing sensor, which is still a 200 megapixel sensor, and the 5x telephoto. The 3x optical zoom is still at 10 megapixels. So what does that mean for anyone taking photos and videos? You should get, of course, better quality using the ultra-wide lens, although you may see some degradation in terms of low light performance. Due to the increase in megapixel sizes, you actually tend to see worse low light performance with higher megapixel counts. That's something which we will definitely address in the full camera review for this phone. That 50 megapixel shooter does allow you to now shoot 8K video on the ultra-wide, which is a significant improvement. So you can now shoot 8K across the 5x telephoto, the main rear-facing lens, and that ultra-wide lens. The phone is slightly increased in terms of screen size. We're actually getting a bump up from 6.8 inches to 6.9 inches, and it's a quad HD display, and it does look beautiful. This is a significant change because obviously we're taking photos and videos on our phones. So the better that screen is, the nicer those photos and videos are going to look, and definitely the screen did impress me. This is one of the more significant hardware changes this year. So you guys know me, of course, I couldn't go through this video without just zooming through the entire focal range to at least give you guys a view on what this might look like if you were to purchase this camera and this phone. Here is the 5x optical, that's the 50 megapixel sensor from last year, and as you can see, everything looks you know, it's a very strong telephoto lens in decent lighting situations like this. It leaves a little bit to be desired when you're shooting a lower light environment, but that is the case for a lot of smartphone zoom lenses. This is the 10x digital crop, so that is taking a digital crop from that 50 megapixel sensor and zooming into a cropped image. And then of course we have the Samsung's super zoom features. You can zoom up to 100x on this one, even though I'm never a real fan of the images that come out of it. In terms of other hardware changes, the most significant one is a new processor. Samsung continually going on about AI on their phones, even though I have to admit, I still kind of feel like this is a gimmicky topic and people are not interested in it as much as brands are actually pushing it. But the new Snapdragon Elite 8 for Galaxy will basically power a lot of this AI. From a photo perspective, what is interesting is there is a new image pipeline. It's new and improved Pro Visual Engine. This basically just means that the image processing is better across the new line of phones. Again, jury's out on how this will actually perform, and we will of course cover that when I actually get a review unit in my hand. One of the things that a product trainer said to me is basically this should result in like faster image processing or significantly faster image processing, and also like the type of processing. Don't read too much into things like colors here and things like that, because there's a lot going on in this space. There's a lot of TV lights and that type of thing, and the white balance is a bit all over the place. But definitely you can see that like a quick selfie, I'm able to get the image processed very quick. You can almost not actually see the processing almost like crunching like you normally can with different smartphone cameras. And then definitely things like the skin smoothing and the selfie just in general looks pretty good here. Again, jury's out, but hopefully better image processing is always definitely a good thing. But an area they did talk a lot about is low light photos and low light videos. Again, this needs to be tested properly, but I did take a couple of photos in a lower light environment, as you can see here. So this is really far from a scientific test, but of course I did my best under the circumstances. But basically I shot a number of different photos. So first starting off with the ultra wide, then I did a test with the 1x lens. Again, this is all using the the night mode, like the separate night mode. It's not in the standard photo mode. Then zoomed in to 5x, and then we'll just have a little look at these photos. Again, I can't show you them full screen, but hopefully you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I think overall performance, like seemingly pretty decent so far. I was actually pretty impressed with the 5x telephoto. That's really pumping a lot of light when obviously there's hardly any light available here. Definitely there's still very aggressive noise reduction going on. You can see actually in the edges of the frames, there's quite a lot of smudging, which is actually quite a Samsung thing. Samsung does like to kind of smudge their photos to get rid of noise. I've noticed that before. Other kind of camera manufacturers deal with noise situations differently, and they tend not to smudge. They might do something else, or like almost like leave some of the noise, but Samsung really like to aggressively process it out. I personally don't like the smudging, but again, this definitely just needs to be looked at and tested more thoroughly. One of the most significant changes this year for me is log video recording. Samsung listened to us. For anyone that doesn't know, shooting log basically allows you to shoot in a very flat image and then color grade that image afterwards. It also basically tends to soften the image, remove a lot of the artificial processing that we tend to see in smartphone imagery, and basically just allows you to actually have a much more professional look and feel from your footage. So the way this is set up is you just access it through the modes area here. You go to Pro Video, and then you'll see in the top left hand corner there's actually an option to enable and disable log, and as you can see when you're shooting it, it will appear nice and flat. It's a very neutral picture profile. This is actually a pretty cool feature. Once you shot a log video, you can go here, up here, swipe up on the image itself or the video itself, and then just you actually get an option to essentially apply a kind of a correction LUT over the top of it so you can view it in a color corrected way. So that's actually a really, really useful feature. It's so easy to be able to do that. Normally you sometimes have to actually drag that footage into an editor to see it like that. There's also a new audio enhancement tool which is quite cool called Audio Eraser, and I think it's similar to the system that Apple has in place, but I actually prefer Samsung's implementation. It actually is going to analyze the clip and allow you to remove certain aspects, so you can focus on, for instance, like remove crowd noise if you were maybe at a concert or that type of thing, and you can increase or decrease specific aspects, whether you're wanting to highlight a speaker's audio, that type of thing. It seems like there's a lot more control than the comparative system available on the iPhone. So this seems like a really cool change. There are, of course, remaining AI features. They didn't really talk about these a ton. I think, again, these are features that are useful, but I just don't know how much people are using these non-stop. You have things like generative edits, removal, like smart removal of objects, which is actually filling in things and being able to add things afterwards. For me, again, just not particularly useful. But again, for some people, those are going to be useful. There's also a new smooth zoom feature, which basically allows you to just like kind of smooth zoom during video across the lenses. I think this must have just been smoothed out, because you can do this on other Galaxy's phones just by pinch to zooming, which it seemed like a bit of a weird change that they would include it like this. But hey ho, if you're wanting a slightly easier way to zoom, there's that. And then I think overwhelmingly we just come to thoughts and opinions. And I think the camera perspective this year is the same as the general phone perspective, is that there's just not enough new. Like, we're basically using the exact same sensors as last year, bar that 50 megapixel ultra wide, and I just don't think that's going to be that noticeable anyway. Samsung really are not pushing the boat continually every year. There are some real improvements in terms of changes like that log feature. I'm really excited to test out proper Samsung log video, but my first impressions, and this is a massive caveat because I haven't thoroughly tested the phone yet, but there's seemingly no real reason to upgrade from the 24 Ultra and potentially not even the 23 Ultra series, because there's just not enough new camera hardware. We're basically using the same sensors that have been on the last few generations of phones. But those are just my impressions at the moment. If you are interested in hearing my full camera review, definitely stay subscribed to the channel, and I'll catch you next time.